I was in a discussion with Carter, the developer on the Dafran's AIM site. I also got access to all the videos on the site itself, and I want to talk a little bit about the content itself. So, is it worth $20? Now that I've actually watched every single video multiple times. I want to talk a little bit about an updated situation to the security and also the state of the website itself, and in general clarify some of the information that's happening and also why the information that was put forward in my previous video still is valid, even though that there have been changes, and yeah, I'll get to it in the video. I'm beautiful, lovely gamers. As always, my name is Jonal, and again, like on the video, comment, help spreading this around. Again, updates doesn't get as much views as the previous iterations of the video. So while I still think that the previous video was right, that's why it still is up and online, I would like to make this as a follow-up. And again, getting views on the follow-up is of course really nice so that people have the most up-to-date information, even though I made posts in the description of the video on my Twitter and everything like that to try to kind of clarify the information. But again, my reach isn't big. That's where I'm asking you for help. Liking, commenting, and actually sharing the video around on Discord servers, Reddits, stuff like that helps out a lot to get this information up and running. I want to talk about the site first, since that's what was a lot of people focused on. I think it's something to do with me and the fact that it is much more interesting to talk about, hacking and information security instead of actually talking about the content on the site. And I want to talk a little bit about this. So I talked with Carter, who is the developer on the site, and there's a couple of things. The video that I made is still valid, in my opinion. To launch the site at the state that it was launched in, and for the amount of time that it was in, in a condition that is not okay, it's incredibly sloppy and should not happen. Now, I have talked to Carter we talked for over 2 hours, me and him, like 1 a.m. plus my time, right? And I have now some information to why it went up like that, and he has explained the situation to me, and that is fine. And I talked to him about it, and to be fair to Carter, he wasn't mad about the video. He wasn't frustrated, and from what I understand, Dafran isn't mad at me either for the critique that I gave in the video, which is incredibly. I thought that people were going to be really mad at me for speaking like that about their website. Carter took all the feedback. I wanted me to go more in details on the feedback of why it is as it is, and how he could improve it, and even gave me a subscription and wants me to keep updating him with what I think about the site so he can keep improving it, which is really mature, because he didn't want me to make a follow-up video, and he didn't want me to take down my video or anything like that. I'm making this follow-up video because I think that's necessary. However, I will not explain why the website went up at the state that it is, because that is none of you guys' business. But again, even though I know why it went up as it is still not okay. When you have a brand, when you have a fan base that's really, really loyal, and everything is locked behind a paywall, so there's no way for them to make, it's like a loot box, right? There's no way to know what they're getting before they're buying, and there's no refund policy. If you have something like that, it is expected that it is secure, that it is running in a proper way, and the fact that it wasn't is not okay in my opinion, and I will stand by that. And let me just remind people, because there were some people after I posted my updates in the description of the video that said that I'm lying and that I am misinformation and whatever, I'm slandering Dafran. Let me explain what was wrong. He had open endpoints to his API, which is horrible, okay? If you work in IT, you know how bad that is. If you don't work in IT, then just take my word. You shouldn't let anyone from the internet just send requests to your API without authorization, because you're essentially allowed to pull data from his logs and the databases out. And how severe that is needed to be seen depending on needed to be seen with further in depth and actually using tools to try to exploit it, which of course I didn't do because that's illegal. And there was enough people tweeting at Carter that Carter quickly patched all the holes, which is really great. but it shouldn't have gone live like that. You shouldn't have a API endpoints that are open without authorization, that way you can get a bunch of information like who is online, transaction history and stuff like that. That's just nothing. You should have a password policy. This, should have been, if you make a website from the Middle Ages, you should have a password policy. You should not post usernames public in chat rooms. That's also not okay. There should be linked to a support website or a email or something like that. And all of that should be there from day one. It shouldn't be in development mode. It should be in production mode. There shouldn't be a shit ton of errors. And when you have all of that, and his logs and a lot of his path is like fuck you retard, and a bunch of his text notes is like anus, fuck, ass, right? Like all this kind of stuff, right? It doesn't look very well, right? It looks like it is just haphazardly thrown together and just posted. And that's what it looks like. And therefore, I'm standing by that when you're charging $20, your website should be in order. And when there's loading issues, which Carter said was due to the fact that they didn't have strong enough servers, which he later clarified with me, he said that wasn't a problem. He said there was something with how he was querying his database. It still doesn't matter. You should have, again, it should be working on launch when you have, the amount of traffic and the name and the amount of money you're charging for this service. And to be fair, the website right now is much better. A lot of the error messages are gone, and there's no like Carter at 2pack.gay at the top. I have not tested too much on their endpoints when it comes to their API endpoints, but it seems to be working fine. Me and Carter went over a lot of the security and how he had set stuff up and how stuff was running, and I'm fairly confident in the website. Again, I can't vouch for it because I don't have access to the backend code myself, and I'm not going to sit there and review it. Carter gave me as much information that he could without, again, giving me access to his source code, which he shouldn't do, and which I wouldn't be interested in either way because I'm not doing a security audit on his site. So he gave me as much information that he could to help me feel confident in the website. I'm fairly confident in the way that he's handling it, in the amount of patches and how fast he's changing stuff and how fast he's pushing out changes, and also in the way that he talks about his frameworks. He clearly knows what he's talking about. So I'm fairly confident, and with the site, and I'm actually impressed with Carter as a developer himself with how he handled it. It still doesn't make it okay that it was launched. I will clarify this. It still doesn't make it okay that it was launched at the state that it was. That is horrible, and that should never ever have happened. And I think that the critique of that in my video is completely fair. Again, in my video, I speculate about the fact that it's SQL, that it's weak to SQL injection. I have not been able to find anything, and Carter has said that it isn't. There is no way because he is sanitizing user input, so SQL shouldn't be an issue. And I also talk with Carter. When it comes to stuff like hashing password, and of course he's hashing his passwords. He has shown me again as much as he can that he's hashing his passwords. Again, for all I know, right, he's taking off the password into a back channel, right? But seriously, Carter is a nice dude. I talked with him for 2 hours. I got to know him a lot. We talked about a lot of things. I don't think he's stealing a password, and I don't think from what he told me about Dafran, and I don't know Dafran. I only know the public image of Dafran. I am as confident as I can be that they're not logging your password in plain text to look at them. That's what I have to say about that they are not logging anything like that. I'm as confident as I can be without checking their backend, right? Which means I would still not use a reusable password on the site, but that's because you shouldn't do that. Every password should have a unique password. Every website, every login account, should have a unique password. You should never reuse your password twice, because that's how huge security breaches happen. It's not your fault if you have a good password that you lose your account. It's the fact that you reuse it on like two, three websites, and one of those websites are dumb and doesn't have good security, and now you lose all your accounts because hackers are just going to retry your login information on different sites. So you should still not do that, but I don't think that they're doing anything malicious with any of the information that they're gaining. And I'm as confident as I can be in that. Now, that is the site. So again, I think the site is fine now. I don't see many issues with it. And I got answered a lot of the questions that I was wondering about, and got a lot of insight in how the site is set up and how it's running. And that is my opinion on the website at its current state. Now, after that fucking ramble for 10 fucking minutes, let's talk about the content itself. So I got a free account, and I will say that I got a free account because I think that's very, very important. I got a free account to check out the content. Now, does this make me biased? No, it doesn't, right? Like, hey, if Lamborghini gave me a free Lamborghini, I would be biased towards Lamborghini. Hey, if I got a free gaming PC, I might be, biased to that. The fact that I got a free subscription to a website that has introductionary, stuff when I'm a PC veteran, I think is fine. I think I will not be swayed about Dafran's. Even though Dafran is as charming as he is, I don't think I will be biased because I saw his mouse cleaning technique. I'll be able to keep myself neutral in this discussion, okay? Now, here is my review of Dafran's videos and the content that you're paying $20 for. And I will stand by. Now, in my video, I said that I was not sure if there was more to stuff like his mouse cleaning and his FPS and hertz videos than a YouTube link. And there is more. In every single video, Dafran is present and he's explaining stuff. However, and this is where I will say, the quality of some of the explanations are kind of weird. And again, this plans, right? This subscription is supposed to be like if you come from like console and you have never touched a PC and you know nothing about anything when it comes to computers or gaming or mouses or anything, right? Like you literally know nothing. Like you're 14, right? You're 14, you come from console, you have no clue. This is supposed to be introductionary, right? That's what it is. And you're supposed to get Dafran's opinion on stuff. That is what you're paying money for, and that's what I will review it as. And this is my review. Is this worth $20? The answer is no. Straight up. And why is it? Because I watched every single video multiple times, and all the information he's giving is publicly known information. There are maybe 1 or 2 videos, for example, his sitting position, where he explains how he likes to sit, right? Like how he gets into his chooses between how comfortable he is and how he's like locked in. It's a little bit of a weird explanation. I kind of get what he's coming at. I don't think it's the best explanation, but it's fine. Like the production quality is decent. Nothing like that. That's like one of the unique ones, but that's like one. So let's go over every single topic. FPS and Hertz. He essentially explains how FPS and Hertz works. He explains it in a worse way than what other free YouTube videos will explain you. Stuff like this from Linus Tech Tips. These 2 videos explained really well. One of the things that I like about these videos is that they explain the reaction time between 60 Hz, 144 Hz, 240, and 360, and how many milliseconds you get in reaction time benefits from jumping up one, right? So you can see from 60 Hz, you go from 16.67 to 6.94 millisecond in reaction time from your monitor, which is huge. But then you see if you jump to 240, you shave off like two milliseconds, right? And if you jump up, to 360, you still only shave off again another like 2 milliseconds. So because of that, I don't think that this video, like that video, it is essentially public known information, just worse explained. And it's essentially, he's just saying, you want 144 Hz and you want high FPS, turn down your graphic settings. That's the video. And that's like, it is not something that's special. Mouse sensitivity, acceleration, and grip is essentially, he explains, you should do what feels comfortable for you, and that's it. He tells that, and that's, again, that's publicly known information. And again, you can go to someone like Ron Rambo Kim, I think it's called on YouTube. Yeah, Ron Rambo Kim. I linked to some of his videos down in the description and his channel. He explains aiming and mouse pads and grips and how the difference between high and low sensitivity and what different pros uses. And he explains all that really well for free. You don't need $20 to get this from Dafran. Cleaning a mouse pad is how to clean a mouse pad. Come on, man, you can Google this or go on YouTube. Crosshair is, again, just what he likes of Crosshair, and again tells you that you should do what feels best for you, right? Don't listen. He essentially tells you don't listen to anyone. Find it out yourself, right? He just explained what he likes. And then and again, you can guess that from seeing his gameplay, right? Monitor positioning. I will link to a video from Ron Rambo Kim about monitor positioning, which is much better, in my opinion. Because again, monitor position is so independent on your eye. So I don't actually think this video is even correct. He just explains what he likes, not what other people like, depending on eyesight. And there's a lot of pros that have it far back. There's some that has it really close. It depends on the individual, and you should find your own. Ron Rambo Kim, once again, made a really good video on this. Go and check that one out instead. Sitting position. This is actually one where he explains his sitting position stuff, and I think that's actually it's a very charming video, and I actually think that is like one video that might be worth something. Practice right, we watched that. That's free on Twitter, so you already know that. And then the rest is, to be added later. Which, of course, I'm not going to comment on because I have no clue what that's going to be. Is that worth $20? No. It is publicly known information. A lot of time it's not explained as well as other free YouTubers, right? So just free YouTube stuff. Or it's like, figure out what works for you, which, again, we know already. And then there's, like, sitting position, which actually is, like, it's not like, I'm not saying it's, like, a super good video. It's an interesting video because it's at least, like, a different thing. Like, I hadn't heard any YouTubers that talks about, like, getting locked in and, swapping between that and your comfortable levels, right? But in the end, he also saying in the end, don't do what I do what you feel best, which is, again, the whole point. When it comes to your crosshair, your sensitivity, what mouse you use, what grip you're using, how you sit, what monitor you're using, what setup you're using, what headset you should have, what PC you should choose, right? Which is not a topic on thefriendname.com. But when it comes to all of these kind of things, the short answer is, it's up to you. It is completely up to you because it's so individual. There's a reason that some pros have high sense, some have low. Some people use big visible crosshairs. Some people use crosshairs that you can barely see. Some people sit close, some people sit far from the monitor. Some people use big keyboards, some use small. Some people have them straight in an angle, right? All of it depends, right? Some people aim with their wrist, some aim with their arm. Some people have their arm on their desk, some people don't. It depends on who you are as a person. And I think that's kind of the important part. And again, a lot of this is just like basic stuff. There isn't currently anything on like how to actually aim. It is just really like how to do a lot of stuff. Like it is just like really like free information and how that information affects you. And he wants $20 for that information. And sure, his service is not a scam. He is advertising. He's giving you exactly what you're paying for. Dafran telling you basic information, like really basic information. But in my opinion, it's not a scam because you're getting what you paid for. But it's kind of like not. It is still $20 for stuff that is free on YouTube. There's no secret trick from Dafran. There's no like, after 17 years of playing, FPS games, I found this, or hey, I've seen, people do that, and this, and I don't like that because, and then reasons, right? It is just, you do you, or publicly known information, just worst or poorly explained compared to what you can find of high-end content creators on YouTube, which again, I have linked to down below. And that's it. I don't think this information is worth $20. And that's the end of it. And while it isn't a scam necessarily, in my opinion, it's kind of like it's not false advertisement, but you know what I mean? Like it hits that gray zone where it's like you are advertising it as like the Fran aim course. It's like this is stuff that's like really gonna, be something special, right? Because it comes from the fan, it's behind a $20 paywall, right? So it should be like something from the fan. But then you can find all that information on YouTube. So if you paid for this, you essentially paid for information you can find on YouTube in more details. You can find better videos in detail. I highly recommend the video from Linus Tech Tip where Shroud and Corey and a bunch of other creators test the difference between hertz and FPS in all kinds of in combination, like 60 hertz a monitor with 300 frames versus a 60 monitor with 60 frames versus a 144 hertz monitor with 60 frames and a 144 monitor with 300 frames. Like, you get the point, right? Like, they explain so good in those videos the difference between aim, frames and hertz. And again, someone like Kim has great content on grips and aim styles from professional players and stuff like that, and pros and cons of the different stuff. And in the end, it all comes down to what you feel is comfortable and you feel is best for you. There's no shortcuts to aiming. If anybody offers you a course that's going to tell you how to get good at aim, there's no shortcuts. Nobody has like a secret. It is long work with consistently using your aim trainers to build up muscle memory. And not muscle memory in the case of like what. So when a lot of people think muscle memory, they think like that they see a guy and they've done the flick 1,000 times, so they're gonna redo it again. The important part is, so when you lift weights or when you play any sports, especially sports, you probably noticed this. When you start at a sport, if you see someone that's brand new at a sport, that can be martial art, that can be soccer, that can be baseball, whatever. You normally see that they're lacking a lot of control over the body, right? They're not used to doing the motions like dribbling or anything like that, or punching, kicks. They're not, used to walk like we do in fencing or walk like we do in Krav Maga, right? They don't have the control over their body that they need to fully do the exercise they're trying to do. And how do you practice that, right? Is, repetition, repetition, repetition. Slowly starting slow, like doing the moves, right? Like if you talk about boxing, like throwing punches, you start by throwing the punches very, like, incredibly correct, like very slowly, but in details perfectly. And you do it over and over again until you can speed it up. Maybe you can add some movement into it. Maybe you can start like hitting a little bit harder. Maybe you can hit a moving target now, right? Then you start adding on it, and then you build up control over those muscle groups. And it's the same with aiming. You play 5 to 15 minutes minimum every day. You go to Aim Hero or Aim Lab or Kovacs, you play some good practices, and Aim Lab has like all kinds of pre-built playlists made by someone like Rambo Kim, who has like on flicking, on tracking, like very basic stuff. Tens which is an insane guy, has his own there. Really great stuff. You go in there, you practice that, and that way you're practicing your muscles so that you can move your hand, your arm, your wrist, your fingers precisely enough to manipulate the mouse. Your sensitivity is just conversion in your head. Professional players that have good control over their arm, that can move their mouse precisely exactly as they want all the time, which is how you aim. Those guys can change the sensitivity on the fly if they want to, and they are still gods. It's not like they change the sensitivity and now they're like shit, right? So by practicing that kind of thing every single day for minimum 5 to 15 minutes, all the way up to an hour. After an hour, you should go and play ranked games. It is really good, and that's a basic introduction for me because I don't want this video to drag on. I have made aim videos before, and there's other people that have also made this on YouTube, how to improve your aim. I will link to someone for some of these of my aim videos and all other people down in the description so you guys can get into the shape of improving your accuracy outside of this. But in my opinion, don't spend $20 on this. It is not worth your money, in my opinion. Maybe in the future when Dafran adds like a shit ton of videos, if he does that, he said that he's going to, and yeah, sure. Maybe then there will be some videos that are worth something, that has some secret techniques or some secret sauce. But currently, all of these videos are not worth it, in my opinion. They don't really give you any information that you don't already have available. And hiding publicly available information behind a paywall, in my opinion, is not very nice. Yeah, I think that this is a little bit funny almost, because it is literally it is literally like the worst amount of from when I talked to Carter about what had to align. All the stuff had to align before I made that video, and all of it did, right? Like the promotional video, which is supposed to be a best foot forward, was the worst video of them all on his subscription plans. The site wasn't really working as intended on launch because of reasons, and there was a bunch of just really like poorly set up stuff, which made me lose a lot of confidence in the site. And all of those things kind of aligning together just really made the situation look really bad. And now that I've talked to fucking the developer and he had time to patch all the stuff, again, it still wasn't okay on launch. It still wasn't okay the day after. It is better, way better now that they have a proper support tool and stuff like that. And I know that Carter's running around fixing a lot of the shit that I pointed out and that he also know about himself. now it's getting much better. But now that when it comes to the content is still like where, like, it is better than what I was assuming it to be, because Dafran is in every single video. And not every video is the quality of his promotional video, which, again, Dafran, please, when you make promotional videos, put the best video out. Like, don't, or at least put part of the best video out, or edit some of them together. Like, don't put the worst one out. Come on, man. Like, you're actually baiting me here. Again, the videos contain public information. You know my feelings on the video now. I just think it is almost like funny how many things had to align, because it is both the complete disaster of a launch on the site itself, and then on top of that, it is the promotional video which kind of pushed it over the edge when it looked as bad as it did. But that's it for me, guys. I hope that you guys like the video. Again, please do take care of yourself and try to stay positive. The vaccines, as always, are fucking coming. They're so close, so we just gotta hold out a little bit longer, hopefully. By the summer, depending on your country, probably. Hopefully by the summer, we start seeing the vaccine being fully sent out to majority of the people. And at that point, hopefully we can have at least a semi-normal summer. So try to just stay inside as much as you can. Stay safe. Again, remember to take care of others, but it's also very important that you take care of yourself. Tell somebody that you love them. As always, my name has been Jonal, and you guys keep the enemy in your crosshair.